Jodi Taisha. He's, to my surprise, is risen to Trade Union Council's presidency. That's a very, very big thing. And I was always struggling to find role models, and I was looking for a lot of these, and happened to be a bad role model. But that aside, I think Kashmiris really are going to use the union. If you look at Palestine, if you look at the South African Congress and what have you, the majority of the support came from left and union, and the and we haven't really tapped that source. And I would like to hear about what we are doing wrong and what we can do and how we can go forward.
Sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum, good evening. Of course, I'm very delighted to meet all our colleagues, and particularly when I spoke less than 3 weeks ago in Bradford, where we had 200 people and the 30th anniversary of the book. Personally, seeing us in Bradford, I was rather disappointed that 200 or so people came when we have over 100,000 people living in Bradford from the Kashmiri community. And when a man has given his life up for a belief, for a cause, for all of us, the least we should be able to do is sacrifice an afternoon or an evening. And I'm very pleased and encouraged to see what I've seen here today. And I must say, before I make my formal words, Alisa, that wherever I go, in the trade union movement, we have lots and lots of young people, lots and lots of women involved. And when I don't see women participating, then I always say so. And I will be critical. I'll tell you why I'm critical. Because when I sometimes take a picture and put it on Facebook, I go around, and I always start off like I did today, sisters and brothers. And usually the sisters ask the first question. I can't see any sisters in the pictures. So for that reason, I'm very pleased, the sister we see here. And I'm also encouraged and pleased to see our sister who spoke early on, and both the sisters, they made a tremendous contribution. And so let us know and tell us that we haven't got women in our communities who are talented, who have the ability to do the job, who can be future politicians. I say to you, yes we have. Problem is now women. Problem is now women, problem is me, us, men. Men are the ones in the Muslim community, Kashmiri community, holding women back. And I tell you I know it, because my father, because I came to England in 1966, like some people in this room, my father wouldn't let my sisters do their GCEs and A-levels, and they were stopped at 16, they had to stay at home. And eventually, one of them got married, and the other two were very strong characters. And this day, they refused, they wanted to make their own decisions. But they all of them got to what they wanted in life by sheer hard work and drive. My sister became a teacher by going to university. My other sister became a fashion designer by sheer hard work. And the third one ended up in the police force, determined they wanted to make a career. And I can tell you now, they haven't gone off the clubs, the pubs, or bad company. My mother passed away 4 years, and they were there with her all the time. They looked after her. And I'm very proud of one of my sisters. She was working in Australia. She was getting paid $75,000 a year job. And she wanted to come and look after her mother. And I said, look, we can hire 2, 3 social workers to look after her. She said, no, there's a difference in me looking after her and social workers. She gave her job up, and she was there with her final hours for the last 1.5 years. And that is a commitment our children can give, the girls can give. So my message to our community, our people is, let's go out there, invest our money, hard-earned cash, in our children's education, be it with boys or girls. Now, Alice have asked me to actually cover the subject of the liberation movement and the labour movement connection. Now, I joined as a bus conductor at the age of 20, and I came to 1966 in England. I couldn't speak a word of English. And some of you will remember hard times. I was the eldest one. And you know what it's like to be an eldest in the family. The money was tight, and I looked at my father, went to school for 3 months, college for about a year and a half, And then I knew we couldn't afford it, so I had to go out and work. One simple reason, so I could earn the cash to support others. And the others, just 1 out of 6 of us managed to become a graduate. Others simply couldn't afford it. Now I got involved at a very young age with the anti-apartheid movement. The reason I got involved was not because I believe in the cause. I went to a meeting, I listened, and then I thought, yeah, it's wrong. When people have been discriminated based on race. So I got involved. And as a young bus driver, I drove buses to London on a voluntary basis, no pay, for 14 years, until South Africa was liberated. Now, do you remember, many people will remember Nelson Mandela. And Nelson Mandela is a great hero as well. But you know, I do remember, leader of the House of Commons at the moment, wonderful bloke. And when he was shedding his tears when Nelson Mandela died, and you know, I cursed him. Because I remember as a youngster seeing him on the streets, wearing a badge, he's a terrorist, let's go out and hang him. And that's what we have in Kashmir. There are people who are giving their lives up, and I said 2 weeks ago, there will be many more Maqbool Bhats who are going to have to give their lives up before Kashmir is liberated. But let's not give up hope. But you know, we need to renew the energy. We need to link up with the trade union movement, because the Palestine movement is taking us to the TUC, trade union movement. It's taken me 30 years. 30 years before they changed the policy 2 years ago. And you know, I'm really proud of the fact that I got elected. One, I'm a Kashmiri. Secondly, I'm a Muslim. Thirdly, I'm from South Asia. First person to do it in 145 years. And who's all still a bus driver to this day. I'm not General Secretary of the Union. So I'm not a big wig. I'm not a baron. So therefore, I am actually an ordinary worker, like many people in this room here. And I would say to you is this. Next week on Tuesday, we've got a meeting, an organising committee meeting with General Secretary of all unions to go to Gaza direct, take a delegation, very high-powered delegation, first time ever, to look at the problems, the difficulties, what people are suffering. Now it hasn't happened. You know why it didn't happen? Because there was a very strong Israeli lobby. They were knocking on the doors. All the trade union movement general secretaries were tied up, and they were there backing them, and that's the problem. You can be rest assured. You know, we just talked about the Berlin Wall. We were all very happy when it came down. But let's not forget, the wall in Kashmir and wall in Israel is not going to be easy to knock it down. There's two differences. The wall in Berlin was a communist wall, and the West wanted to pull it down. The wall in Israel and India is going to be a capitalist wall. And you know, when Russia fell, communists broke down. And then now we've seen the bank failures. At that time, people say communism will fail people. I was hoping, you know, so are people in high power, they're going to say, so has capitalism failed us badly. But nobody's done it. So therefore, let's not hang our hats on the hook and say, the people are going to come to the rescue of Kashmir, liberate us. You know, I go all over, I see Indians, I see Pakistanis. And the Pakistanis say, well, one day Kashmir is going to be part of Pakistan. Indians say the same. But nobody talks about the Kashmiri people living in Kashmir having the ability to decide for themselves. In Scotland, we've got people there, they're going to make a decision. And there's a bit of interference taking place. I was asked to say a comment or two on behalf of my union. I declined. I said, no, it's Scottish people decide what they want to do. Same applies to people of Kashmir. Whether it be Sikhs, Hindus, Protestants, whether it be Muslims, it's their decision. They want to decide. And I think that's the lobby. And this is where the Kashmiri movement, let me say this to you, there are about 17 organizations that exist in India. Nobody speaks with one voice. And you know, trade unions, there are 54 trade unions in Britain at the moment. And when the TUC generated, there was 500 of them. But they set up an umbrella organization for common agenda, so they could speak to governments, MPs, councillors. At the moment, we have 54 trade unions, 6.5 million members. And you hear Blair said trade unions are insignificant because 6.5 million people still. So as a Kashmiri community, as a Muslim community in Britain with 3 million, now if they think trade unions are insignificant, 6.5 million, then I'm not too sure what they think about the 3 million. So we have to be strong, and you know, we have to be careful. I know I've got my comrade MPs here, leaders of the council, and you know, I've been a member of the organisation for many, many years, wholeheartedly support. And I saw Ed Miliband in Leeds. He made a tremendous contribution in Leeds. But you know, at the moment I'm independent. 12 months, I can't speak for one party or the other because the TUC doesn't have a political fund. Kashmiri community, we need to decide, we need to speak with one voice what our agenda is. And then we need to penetrate with the trade union movement. There are funds, and you know, when there's racist attacks been taken by EBL, BNP over the years, who has been our closest ally? It was the trade unions. They've been funding these campaigns to fight against them. And they will do the same for Kashmir. We can show you how to open the door, the activist, the Kashmiri movement. But while we end up talking to each other in these rooms, and this is the first time that I've seen some young people, which is good, because our young people need to know what Kashmir is, what it's all about. I keep telling my own children, I keep telling my grandchildren. And we need to tell the message. But there's going to be a huge campaign for a long time. And you know, when the 9/11 events took place, 7/7 events took place in Britain, it became more harder for Kashmir. So it's going to be not an easy ride. But we are going to have to speak with one voice. And let me say this, and I know Simon is here, and he's put tremendously good representative here. But you know, I'm sure he's going to have to make way for a Kashmiri one day in Rochdale. But he's not going to make way just because somebody wants it. We're going to have to get somebody who's good, she's good, or they are good, who can do the job. Not just us in Rochdale, throughout the country. And everybody said, I want the parliament to look like what Britain is. And we want women. But I also want Kashmiris in the House of Parliament. One simple reason, because we want to reflect the society we have here. And now let me say this to you. Go talk to anyone and say to them, have you had a wisdom tooth taken out? And if somebody says, no, I haven't, and you have, they will never know what it's like to have the wisdom tooth taken. It's so painful. Only Kashmiris know how painful it is. And only a woman knows when she's been